Welcome to Unity of Wilmington's virtual service located in Wilmington, North Carolina. My name is Reverend Nikki Golden. The other co-minister is Reverend Mindy Tucker. We're delighted to be with you in the moment that you are with us. We invite you to open your heart and mind to feel the joy of living as we move through this service. We invite you to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are a beloved expression of God, that you are here for a holy purpose. And I believe that purpose is to love, to learn to love ourselves and each other with a greater capacity, the actual capacity that we have within us already, allowing it to emerge and to come through us instead of resisting it like, I don't know about you, but sometimes I do. And we are always at the right place at the right time, right now. And by knowing these truths, we can truly be an agent of change in the world.
Something here is wrong. There are children without homes, but we just move along to take care of our own. There's so much suffering just outside our door. Cry so deafening, we just can't ignore. Goodness, all the people who keep holding on to love, all the people who are reaching for the lonely, keep changing the world. Take a look around before the sun goes out. What's lost can still be found. It's not too late now. It only takes one spark to make a fire burn. Reach inside your heart and let this be the start. All the people who are fighting for the goodness, all the people who keep holding on to love, all the people who are reaching for the lonely, keep changing the world. All the people who are fighting for the lonely, holding on to love, reaching for the goodness, keep changing. See it changing the world. I see it changing the world. Every boy, every girl, step up, step up. I see it changing the world. I see it changing the world. Every boy, every girl, step up, step up. I see the sun coming up. It's a brighter day. Heal the world right now. It's a better way. Lend a hand, join the fight. Time is ticking away. Keep changing the world. All the people who are fighting for the goodness, all the people who keep holding on to love, all the people who are reaching for the lonely, keep changing the world. All the people who are fighting for the lonely, all the people who keep holding on to love, all the people who keep reaching for the goodness, keep changing the world.
Many of us grew up learning right from wrong. Would you agree with that? As a society, we have rules about right and wrong, particularly for our safety. It is wrong to touch a hot stove. It is wrong to go down a dark alley at night in a big city. And it's right to stay indoors during a lightning storm, and it's Well, it's right to do a lot of things, including obey traffic laws. As a society, we also have moral dictates that we've learned as we were growing up. And a number of these came out of our Judeo-Christian foundation in the Ten Commandments. It's morally right to tell the truth. It's morally wrong to murder someone. It's morally wrong to commit adultery. And it's morally right to honor our elders. So there are so many more things that we learn as we grow up, such as the difference between good and evil. Most of us learn that difference in our formative years, and that also can be sourced in our society from safety rules, from moral dictates, from ethics, from religious experiences, and from our spirituality. Good, evil, right, wrong, a lot of black and white, and knowing that there's some gray in the middle, but the structure of these rules, of this order, supports us in loving ourselves and loving something bigger than ourselves. Unity only has 5 basic principles, and the first one is this: there is only one presence and one power active in the universe and in our lives, a presence and power we call God. So I want you to recognize that this presence, this power that we call God, is good, ever present, everywhere. It's immanent, it's transcendent, it's principle. And I also want you to hear what I'm not saying. What I'm not saying is that there is no other presence. There's no devil, there's no adversary, there's no evil power that is outside of ourselves. So this is a tough one, because when we grew up learning good and evil, and I actually think this is one of the hardest things in unity metaphysically to wrap our minds around, the definition that unity has of evil is most likely different than the one you grew up with if you didn't grow up in unity, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. So one is God is. The second unity principle is I am. I am. We believe that we're created in the image and likeness of God. God is good, therefore we are good. It's a simple logic to lay out, but a lot of times we as individuals, as human beings, have a difficult time integrating that truth into our current experience. We have difficulty remembering our divine nature because life is hard. Life is hard, and we suffer. We suffer from all kinds of external events and external conditions. And so when we come back to ourselves and when we try to remember that God is good and therefore we are good and we have a divine nature, we can struggle because people we love die. Bad things happen. Tragedies happen. Injustices happen. And if we dwell on those outer things, then we tend to wallow in our suffering. We tend to wallow in our discomfort, and we can become bitter, and we can become, we can see life more as a struggle. So, the thing to catch ourselves on when we are presented and when we recognize that we're having trouble integrating the truth of who and what we are, our goodness, with what's happening in the world, the tendency is to begin to question our goodness. Is this really true? Is God really good? And is there actually goodness in all of humanity? We begin to take a look around and ask ourselves really hard questions. We begin to step into what I call, or get succumbed to, the blame game. When we look at racism in America, whose fault is it? Who started it? When we look at the Germans' final solution for the Jewish people, who allowed that? Who permitted that building in Surfside, Florida? Whose responsibility is it that that building fell down and killed so many people? You see, I experience, and I can only really truly speak from my own personal experience, because that's really what unity is all about. We have a truth, we have a belief, we try it on, we have an experience. My experience is playing the blame game and engaging in fault finding is like a rabbit hole. It's a rabbit hole. And if fault finding is what we choose to do, then it's pretty much a rabbit hole of no return. But if we choose to view any circumstance or condition as an educational opportunity, then we can go down that rabbit hole a little bit. We can explore, we can deconstruct it, we can take it apart piece by piece. We can identify our own part in the story, and we can learn from our past so we can make better and different choices for our future. I'm thinking that makes sense to you. It certainly makes sense to me. The 5 basic principles, Trish Yancey, who is a licensed Unity teacher down in the state of Florida, came up with this really lovely, simple, exciting graphic about the 5 principles. God is, I am, I think, I pray, and I live. We live based on the thoughts that we are having. We make choices in our lives based on our belief systems, based on our habits, but really those belief systems and habits come from what we're thinking. I pray, it's when we spend time in prayer and meditation, and when we spend time in prayer and meditation, we're taking those thoughts that we've had and then we're amplifying them so that they are always in the forefront of our consciousness. So really, the most creative and the most critical of the 5 principles is choosing what we think. It is choosing the thoughts that we choose to pay attention to in our lives. Genesis teaches us that we as humankind are blessed with the dominion over the earth, over the fish in the sea, over the birds in the air, and all the creatures that move along the ground. Metaphysically, what this really means is the birds, the fish, the creatures, the earth, they're all representations of our thoughts. Metaphysically, the earth represents the consciousness we hold about our physical body. Metaphysically, the fish in the sea represent our thoughts, our beliefs, our thoughts about abundance. The birds in the air represent the thoughts that have limitlessness in infinite possibility. And the creatures who move on the ground are our lower, more elemental thoughts. We have dominion over our thoughts really means that we're, at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, and at the middle of the day, we're the ones who get to choose. I said to Reverend Nikki the other day, there are 1,000 clouds in the sky, but we get to choose which one we focus on. There are, I'm going to say bajillion, but I'm sure there's some number like 96,000 or 100, whatever. There are bajillions of thoughts in our mind every day, but we're the ones who have dominion over the thoughts we choose to pay attention to. So let's talk about evil and the metaphysical definition of evil. Evil really means that we have forgotten our oneness with God. Evil means that we have put more faith in our separate identity from our true divine nature. So when we have dominion over our thinking, we can choose to have thoughts and pay attention to our thoughts about our oneness with God, about our divine nature, about our innate goodness, or we can pay attention to thoughts of separation. We can forget that oneness with God. We can pay more attention to things that are going on externally from us, things that are outside, conditions that are outside, experiences that are outside. We can choose with our power of dominion to pay more attention to polarities, and polarities can get us into big trouble because polarities are divisive. And we see this in our American society. We just juice ourselves on polarities, and we go from one polarity to the next polarity to the next polarity because they bring us so much adrenaline. They bring us so much juice. So let's go back to racism. Racism and our experience of racism is a polarity, and we swing back and forth between equity and inequity. Partisan politics is a polarity, and we swing back and forth, or we don't swing back and forth, between liberalism and conservatism. Even our experience of COVID, our journey of COVID over the last 15, 18 months has been fraught with polarities. One side, look at all the people who have died from COVID. COVID is deadly. It's worse than we thought. And then on the other side of the polarity is those numbers have been inflated. Cases have been misdiagnosed. COVID really isn't much more dangerous than the regular flu. Polarity. Masks are essential. Masks are useless. Polarity. The vaccine is essential. Everyone must get it. The shot. See what the polarity is right there? The shot is experimental, it's untested, and therefore it's dangerous. Now, I'm not saying any one of these points of view is right or wrong. What I'm really wanting you to understand or get a glimpse of is that they are perspectives, they are conditions that are going on outside that are separate from our inherent goodness, from our natural divinity, from the truth of who and what we are. And should we choose to have dominion over our thoughts and place them externally, then we put ourselves at risk for having more suffering, more unhappiness, when instead the invitation is to tune within. This will get us fault finding. This will help us discover the peace and the goodness that lives inside of us. This inspires vengeance. This inspires transformation. We've been studying Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life this whole year. And when I say this whole year, we're on rule number 6 because it's June, and that means we're halfway through. And in the chapter on rule 6, Jordan Peterson talks about that choice between vengeance and transformation. And he shares 2 stories about 2 individuals that have very different outcomes. The first story he shares is about a man named Carl Panzam, who grew up having a very difficult life. And by the age of 11, he was placed in an institution in the state of Minnesota where he experienced extreme brutality by the people who were assigned to care for him. Over the course of his growing up in that institution and then later becoming an adult, he took his hatred and his resentment for those specific individuals and allowed it to fester and grow. So pretty soon he was having a hatred for all humankind and God. And the way he acted that out, his come from that experience was one of vengeance. He killed people, he murdered them, he raped them, he committed arson until the day he died. There was another young man who grew up in an institution very much like Carl Panzam. And when he got out of that institution, he internalized his vengeance. He became addicted to drugs and alcohol, and he engaged in a host of behaviors that comes out of that kind of addiction, very self-destructive. But one day he woke up and he said, I'm tired of carrying a hatred for God and carrying a hatred for all of mankind. So he stopped drinking. And as he began to release those addictions, his behaviors and his choices changed. He turned instead to channel his energies into revitalizing the art and the culture of his native tradition. And then he enrolled other young men to do the same. He produced a 50-foot totem pole that memorialized his experience. He single-handedly dug out a 40-foot canoe from one log. And then, as time went on, he decided he needed to make amends and heal his past with his family. So he invited his extended family. Hundreds of people came. And before them, they danced, they sang, they ate together. He shared and expressed his grief, and he made peace with his past. Probably one of the most difficult and most seemingly impossible of tasks required in order to transform. I had a very hard time reading through Rule Number 6. The book just went from one horrific experience to another. It began with the shooting in Sandy Hook and talked about the teenagers who shot and killed people in Columbine, and then it went to address the darkness of Leo Tolstoy and the tragedy of Faust, and there were just so many instances and stories of how vengeance barred these individuals from having that opportunity to have better thoughts, dominion over their thoughts, which then would lead to a transformative experience of life. I was so depressed, I put it down. And then I had to pick it up. I had to pick it up to prepare for this lesson. I had to pick it up. And what that really did was it gave me the opportunity to face my aversions. It gave me an opportunity to take my head out of the sand. It gave me an opportunity to face my fears and recognize that in spite of the number of people on the planet who are and who ever have been, who have chosen vengeance, there are more people on this planet that choose transformation. And I was uplifted by that hope. There are two big shift moves that Jordan Peterson offers. And the first one is to move from blame to accountability. moving from blame to accountability gives us the opportunity to reclaim the dominion of our thoughts, to no longer be a victim to the external circumstance, no longer be a victim attached to the past, but to truly move into accountability. Accountability is when we get to ask the question, what role did I play in this experience? How did I co-create? Because that's what principle number 3 is all about. It's about co-creating. So how did I participate in bringing this experience that I'm now having, or that I had, how did I participate in bringing that about? And he took this big question from Alexander Solzhenitsyn. And then Solzhenitsyn actually had sub-questions under that. And they are somewhere. And they are probably nowhere up there. Because now I'm realizing I didn't make a slide. Ha-ha. But I have my notes. So the big question is, how have I participated in creating my current experience? And then the sub-questions are, how have I missed the mark in the past? Missing the mark. How have I turned my attention? How have I chosen thoughts that weren't in alignment with my oneness with God, that weren't in alignment with my goodness? How have I done that? How many times have I been betrayed or betrayed other people? How many times have I lied? These are not easy questions. Can I stop making such mistakes now? Can I repair the damage done by my past failures now? These kinds of questions lead to putting our soul in order. They're all about setting our house, metaphysics, for our soul. It's about setting our house in perfect order. It's about reclaiming our dominion. It's about taking ourselves apart piece by piece. It's our soul's journey. It's our spiritual path. It's our spiritual challenge. And when we find the courage inside of us, when we find the wisdom inside of us to do this, then we can release the urge, release the thoughts that are focused on vengeance, return home to ourselves, and begin our own transformation. As we choose to transform, we inspire others to do the same. Jesus says, you are the light of the world. When you choose to transform, you are shining your light. And your light illuminates those nooks and crannies and those dark alleys. It brings new thought into being. Now, in the book, Jordan Peterson, he asked the question in maybe a much more simpler way. He just comes out and says, have you cleared up your life yet? Have you cleared up your life yet? And if the answer is no, or the answer is yes, I have over here, but not over here, or gee, I've been thinking I should pay attention to that. If the answer is no, then start to stop doing anything that you know to be evil. Start to stop choosing to pay attention to thoughts that are about separation. Choose to start to stop. We want to go out and heal the world. We have that urge. We want to make everything better, and sometimes that's an anxiety move. We want to make everything better out there so we feel better in here. Here's what he says. Don't blame capitalism, the radical left, or the inequity of your enemies. Don't reorganize the state until you've ordered your own experience. Have some humility. If you can't bring peace to your household, how dare you try to rule a city? It begins with us. Unity honors all the paths to wholeness. All the paths, especially the one you're on. And I think these are two very good paths. Step one, move from blame to accountability. Step two, choose transformation over vengeance. I believe these are wonderful paths. I'm not saying they're easy. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're seemingly impossible. Unity also honors the divinity in each and every person. We're going to hold as a movement hope for the entire world, that every human being begins to make these shifts for themselves. And when I say the wisdom isn't out there, the wisdom is in here, we follow our own inner guidance. Our own inner guidance is like not the tuning fork, but it's like the standard of judgment that we hold. Because there are ages and ages of wisdom that has been developed because we as humankind have been around the block more than a few times, and we've traveled around the sun for ages. So we have collected wisdom, bodies of wisdom about what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's evil, what's moral and what's not, what's ethical and what's not, what religious path you want to be on, what spiritual journey and support you need. We've collected all that, so don't discount it. Use your own internal wisdom, your own standard of judgment to measure whether that wisdom is for you. You are the light of the world. You are good, and you have the capacity for goodness. You are good, and you have the capacity for goodness. Let's integrate all of this into an affirmation. I commit to not, what? This is from the last one. I don't know what I sent, Reverend Nikki. I take responsibility for my part in creating a PowerPoint that didn't match my talk. And I will share what's on the piece of paper. I am good, and I have the capacity to be goodness personified. I am good, and I have the capacity to be goodness personified. I commit to shifting from blame to accountability. I choose transformation. I commit to shifting from blame to accountability. I commit to transformation. Let's integrate that. Big stuff. Take a breath. Close your eyes. We're going to meditate. Meditate and allow our own standard of judgment to emerge, our own divine nature to become present in our mind and heart, to remember our oneness with God, our oneness with all of life, our own goodness, and our capacity to be goodness personified. It doesn't matter where we've been, what we've done, what we've said, what we've thought, what we've been tempted to say, do, or think. None of that matters right now. If this were dust, all of those thoughts, all of those deeds, all of those temptations were just simply dust on a table, we could take a deep breath and blow it away. Create a clean surface. Create a clean heart. Create a clean mind. What can we do right now? What can we think right now? Every day, from this day forward, we can come home to ourselves, to set our household, our soul in perfect order. And every day, we can notice the micro shifts that occur. More ease in our relationships. A desire to reconnect and reconstruct. A smile that comes easier. Laughter that's deeper and fuller. A body that is healthier. Every day, a recommitment to our wholeness and letting our divine light shine. Celebrating our courage, celebrating the power of our dominion, celebrating our goodness, and then imagining a world where it's not just us that has made these choices for transformation. Recognizing there are others among us. This is how we bring peace to the world. Our soul's journey, on a journey with other souls, equally committed to transformation, to being the light of the world, letting go of our suffering, letting go of our pain, knowing that we'll have to let go again. But when we have to let go again, we will be stronger. We will be more courageous. We will be more prepared. Our light grows every day with this kind of commitment. You are good, and you have the capacity to be goodness personified. The world is good and has the capacity to be goodness personified. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
What if it all depended on me to change? change the world, change the world. What if my only responsibility was to change the world, change the world? Let me be the one to start a revolution. Let me sing my song to the people of the world. It all begins with one, the power of one, joining the hundreds of millions of people believing in one, the power of one. Don't hang around, stand up or sit down and believe we can change the world. Together we can change the world. Together. What kind of love can conquer disease and change the world? Change the world. What can I do to make poverty history and change the world? Change the world. Let me be the one to start a revolution. Let me sing my song to the people of the world. Help me sing to the children of the world. It all begins with one, the power of one, joining the hundreds of millions of people believing in one, the power of one. Don't hang around, stand up or sit down, believe we could change the world. Together we could change the world. Together.
An opportunity to change the world. We have it every day. One way that you have an opportunity of changing the world is if you've been touched, moved, or inspired by anything that you've heard here, to tune in and determine how you're going to step forth with it. One way is to give. An act of generosity keeps us alive and healthy and vibrant and able to be present with you each week. You have opportunities through Venmo and you have opportunities through Facebook, or you can write a check. There are many ways. On our website, unitywill.com shows you the way.
An opportunity for vengeance or transformation is always yours. Use the power of dominion. You are good, and you have the capacity to be goodness personified.
Please don't close your eyes. Please don't turn away. Let your voices rise and put love on display and make a difference now. I believe you and me can make a difference now. Oh, 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 oh. It all begins with one, the power of one. Don't hang around, stand up or sit down and believe we can change the world. Change the world. Change the world. Oh, we can change the world together, yeah. If we work together, we can make it. We can make it. If we work together, we could change the world forever. We can. We can, you and me can. together.